Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our preview show, our show in which we look ahead to the next Arsenal fixture. In this case, it's Arsenal against Bournemouth at home at the Emirates. We play at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon UK time, which of course means there is no televised coverage here in the UK. I fortunately will, in fact, be there tomorrow. Got found out today, which I'm very, very happy about. I'm going to be at the game tomorrow covering it. So very much looking forward to being inside the stadium and being able to witness it. I know that plenty of people here in the UK may struggle to be able to view the fixture, so it's not something I'm going to be taking for granted. It is also an interesting game because it's a rare occasion that we play after Manchester City. But that, of course, is the case tomorrow as Man City play against Newcastle United in the early kickoff on Saturday, with Arsenal potentially having the chance, if indeed Newcastle can do us a favour, to open that gap up even more. We can keep our fingers crossed. But as always with our preview shows, what we do is we bring in, of course, our fantastic guests in the community in our Discord server. So let's introduce you to our couple of guests for today's show. First of all, joining us all the way down in the south is Alex. How you doing, Alex? You good, Joel?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Like I say, I'm just recovering from a cough. So if there's any leftovers from it, I apologise, but it should be all right.
No, I'm glad to see it and see that you're on the mend, mate. Good stuff. Lovely job. And making his debut on the preview show, it's Aaron. How you doing, Aaron? You good, Joel?
Very good. Thank you very much. And an absolute pleasure to be here.
Absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Lovely to have a debutant on always. You're joining us from West London. You told us before we came on. It's actually a UK-based preview, which is a bit of a rarity these days, which is, never, ever a problem. But certainly it's nice, I think, to have a UK-based show, I think, for the first time in... I'm trying to think back the last time all three of our members that came on the show were just UK-based. But our wider network are sleeping, clearly, on the opportunity today. But plenty to discuss still. Alex, Bournemouth, a team you know fairly well. How do you feel about Arsenal facing them today? Tomorrow, rather. I don't know what I said today. Well, those that listen tomorrow, it must be today. But, now it's tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously... got to be vaguely careful about what I say because I can't slate anyone too badly, but I feel pretty confident. With regards to the Arsenal at the moment. I think, away it might be a different fixture, but we're at the Emirates. We'd be expecting to get a result, and I'm hoping we can get a bit of goal difference, get a bit of an increase in the goal difference, because that's the one thing that. Well, until the last couple of games, certainly, I think there's been a worry, but we're getting back up towards City. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to ask you shortly about kind of the threats that Bournemouth have. You can talk about them in glowing terms. So we'll get onto that soon. But Aaron, Bournemouth are a side that we managed to fairly comfortably beat earlier in the season when we travelled down to the Vitality. Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, and William Saliba with a bit of a cracker as well in the opening few games of the season. Are you kind of expecting a similar level of dominance, or do you think we may even go one step further and get to the heights that we scored against Everton on Wednesday?
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be another 4-0, if I'm being honest. I'm pretty confident in seeing what I saw on Wednesday night against Everton. I thought it was a fantastic thought. Okay, we was a bit frustrated for 35, 40 minutes. As soon as we got that Saka goal, a moment of magic just unlocked some games. And the second half, it was actually nice to sort of sit back again and watch Arsenal in real free-flowing sort of football. I really enjoyed that second half. And we sort of won in three different ways. The Aston Villa game, we had a good second half, but it was, one of them late winners. They're always fantastic for morale. You got the Leicester game, which was, we dominated the first half, should have been maybe more 1-0 up. I won't talk about much more than that in the first half, refereeing decisions. And then, I think we're on a bit of a good run at the minute, and another home game. We've won every single game, I think, in the Premier League era against Bournemouth at home. They haven't kept a clean sheet. So I sort
that's
of
a hell of a
little
stat.
bit the same. Yeah. I've done my research, Tom.
What is research? Love it.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. No, yeah, I think I remember I think we may have away from home against Bournemouth. I know that there's obviously Mikel Arteta's first game in charge was against Bournemouth. I think that was 2-2. Was it 2-2? I think it might have been
2-2
2-2.
or
1-1.
3-3. There's one of them that
It
was.
was a high scoring draw, I think is what it was. Yeah. Aubameyang, I think, got on the score sheet that day. And we started with Reece Nelson, I think, was on the right hand side for that fixture. But yeah, it's an interesting fixture for us at home because we have dominated it a bit like the Everton game on Wednesday. 7 out of 8 wins when we played Everton at home. But away from home, we've struggled. And at Bournemouth, we've got games where you look back. I remember the Olivier Giroud celebrations of the Scorpion kick when I think that was 3-3. And obviously Alexis Sanchez kind of baying at the guy to try and get him back to the halfway line to see if we can nick a winner in the last few minutes. Oli was off celebrating, but at home, as you say, Aaron, our record is very good. Alex, in terms of Bournemouth and the threats that they possess, talk us through kind of what challenge Arsenal might be coming up against.
Well, I think Dominic Solanke in particular is someone who, having watched him a lot of times this season, especially at the home games where I've gone to watch, he's always puts himself about. He was, whatever you say about the Man City result where it was 4-1 Man City, I think he always gives 100%. So he's not going to have a quiet time for the centre half, certainly. Then they've made some January reinforcements. They've got Hamed Traore on loan, I think from Sassuolo. And they've got Dango Ouattara, who's joined as well. And both of them have looked very bright. Obviously, I think, like you say, haven't kept a clean sheet, so it's quite obvious from that point of view where the frailties lie. But I don't think they're not going to lie down in those terms, even at the Emirates. And you can't, looking at their league position as well, I think you have to consider that they're in a scrap potentially. So teams fighting for their lives can never be underestimated, as we've learned all too well in the last few seasons.
I mean, they've played majority of their games, in fact, nearly all of them with the back four. And then when Man City came calling, they switched to a back five. Do you think they'd do the same thing again tomorrow? Or because it went so badly, they might just go back to what they know?
I think they'll play a back five, a 5-2-3 is what I think they'll play. However, it often looks very different, because they're very much a team that when they do break, that's when they're at their most dangerous, because they do have a lot of pace. So I think we've been quite good at dealing with teams who have been counter-attacking this season, but that's something to be mindful of, is need to stop things at source and not let them get off and get their legs running into the channels or running anything like that. And that's one thing that Dominic Solanke does offer, is he runs into the channels constantly. So you have to keep an eye on it.
Aaron, are you in it? Sorry, Alex, I completely.
That's all right.
Whenever he pauses, I'm like, he's done. No, he's not done.
No, you go. I was just gonna mutter on. So you go.
Dan says, Alex, are you going to start for Bournemouth tomorrow? It's always Dan Robert, me, the little one in the chat box trying to wind people up. Aaron, I know you said you feel like it's going to be another 4-0 win, but is there any part of that Bournemouth team that you're concerned about? As Alex said, they brought in a couple of January additions. Ouattara, obviously, for Lorient this season, 6 goals, 6 assists, and has come into the Premier League and got 2 assists as well already since joining. I mean, anyone else in that team that you're looking at as a potential threat?
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously Dominic Solanke's main number 1 striker. So we obviously got to watch out for him. I know he's around sort of 6 foot, and Saliba has been sort of handling a tall sort of presence player, not the best as of late. So maybe we'll have to sort of watch out of that. But then to counter that, Gabriel's been fantastic at sort of covering him. But obviously, you're going to pose a threat. And sort of one thing I did want to ask, Alex, is do you think you'll sort of come and try and attack us, Bournemouth? Or do you reckon we're sort of going to come up with a low block and it's going to be a frustrating sort of affair?
I think it will suit Bournemouth better to play in a low block. Because I think, to be slightly political, I think that we'll get picked off if we try and come out swinging too much. So
loving the gymnastics you're having to go through.
And
Just to talk about
the players. So the players such as Jack Stevens, who will most likely start, Marcus Senesi, Lloyd Kelly potentially if he's back, are very much like last line defenders, low block defenders, good aerially. Not necessarily the most creative of heads, but I think then you do have options higher up the pitch that can get you out of tight situations. So I think it will most likely be a low block. I think if they came out attacking, especially with the form that we're in, Arsenal are in, it might be a difficult day.
Do Bournemouth play a lot of like their dark arts in terms of going down the floor and rolling around?
Oh, you might be going too far there, Aaron.
I'm just sort of gauging what I'm going to expect on Saturday as well.
No more or less than every other Premier League team, I'd say.
Good answer. Good answer,
Alex. Good answer. Yeah, it's a good answer.
He knows how to play the game. Lovely stuff. Let's go to our lineups then of what we're picking. Alex, talk us through your selection, because I'm surprised you've gone with Smith Rowe, and you've made a few other changes to the starting 11 as well. Talk us through your reasons why.
Yeah, so I think Smith Rowe, in hindsight, may have been slightly premature, but I would like him to start. I think his cameo coming on, he had some bright moments. I think he will, regardless of whether he starts or comes on, I think he'll play a part. And I'd like to think that we can start getting him back in the squad. I think we've got a lot of games coming up. We've got Sporting, we've got obviously the Premier League fixtures to fulfill. And I think we need to start a bit of rotation. I think part of it is Martinelli. I think he needs a break. I know he's just scored 2 goals, but I would like to see him scoring goals in the Europa League as well. I'm slightly worried about the load that some of the players are getting, especially in that front line at the moment because of the injuries we've got. I think now that the players are coming back, such as Emil Smith-Rowe, we need to have a look at that. And then Tierney and Tomiyasu, I think Ben White has had a mixed few games, and I think Tomiyasu would be really good to come in and deal with the threat posed on the wings, if that's what it comes to. I think he's very good at one-on-one defending, probably better than Ben White, I'd say. And Kieran Tierney for similar reasons. I know we don't use that left-sided fullback in that way, but I think it would be good to give him a run out. I know there's talks, not necessarily fruition talks, but there's talks of him potentially leaving. I personally would like him to stay. I think he would be a really good player to have when we get into the Champions League. Having that quality of competition, and then the rest sort of speaks for itself, apart from Partey maybe. But he's come on and played the second half against Everton, I don't see any reason why he can't start.
Yeah, no, I think there are games where we're going to see rotation. I think obviously we played a few games in quick succession that we might see rotation happen in this game. I think that the number of changes that we might see is going to be more happening in the Europa League on Thursday. But I could absolutely see, 1 or 2 differences from the team that we saw against Everton. I mean, talking about kind of one end of the spectrum to the other, Aaron, you've gone certainly very much more playing with the favourites. Is this kind of what you want, or is it what you're expecting Arteta to do?
It's more sort of what I want, really. And other than Jesus Trossard thing, I know Jesus is injured. That's probably our best team. And the reason why I've gone for that is 1, they're in sort of a good mood, and 2, we have got that European fixture on Thursday. I think we can afford to go hard again at home and make some changes. But I will say, if Alex's team was to line up, I'd be more than happy with the way he set his team out. We've got some good squad depth now. I'd love to see ESR come on, maybe sort of not start, but I'd definitely love to see him get some minutes. But But yeah, I feel like we should go strong for this game. Try and really go for the 3 points. Because we don't know, the gap could be close to 2 points come 3 o'clock. I really think it's important that we push to get them 3 points, and then make the more changes for the Thursday European game. And obviously we've got Fulham away as well, haven't we, on Sunday? So that's another very big game. I'd like.
You're expecting City to beat Newcastle then in the early kickoff?
If you'd have asked me this question maybe a month or so ago, I'd have said,
Yeah.
I think Newcastle could hold out for a draw minimum and maybe even nick something, but they've just come out of form, haven't they? Just that little bit too soon for that, for them to nick a draw against Man City. I think Man City will win, frustratingly, but who knows? I'll be listening to that game on the car journey down there, and I'll be holding the wheel, but I'll also have my hands together praying that they can draw or nick something.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I really, 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 really hope that we see Newcastle pull something off in that game, because it really, I was writing about it today, and it's interesting because the last time we played a game 2.5 hours after the kickoff of the City game was on New Year's Day, when City played at home against Everton, drew 1-1, and then we beat Brighton 4-2, and we went 7 points clear. And that exactly situation could happen again tomorrow, which would obviously be fantastic. For me, I've only made the one change from your side, Aaron. I brought Vieira into the midfield. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. I just kind of want to see it happen. I know it'll probably happen during the game against Sporting on Thursday. But I do think that Fabio Vieira being kind of brought into this game here, I think the Xhaka probably will play anyway in the Europa League. I think that's one of the consistent figures that Arteta will use in the Europa League. If he plays Vieira, it will probably be instead of Ødegaard's more than anything else. So I think bringing in Vieira into this team is fine for me. We're going up against a team in Bournemouth who as Alex and us and Aaron have talked about, I think we'll sit back more. We'll play more defensively, which would give us the opportunity to be a little bit more creative and a little bit more committal in attack. And I think adding a Vieira into this team is exactly what will do that. On Eddie Nketiah, the understanding I have is that the club aren't 100% sure in terms of how long Eddie is going to be out for, if at all. The suggestions that I've heard that he could still be in contention for tomorrow, but they've been pretty standoffish and giving kind of a verdict on this ankle problem that he's got. He may not be in the squad tomorrow. That's a reality that we might be facing. But with Gabriel Jesus close to a return, fingers crossed it won't be too much of an issue for us. But of course, having Eddie Nketiah available, especially with this Europa League fixture coming and that kind of extra responsibility that we've got, it would have been much better if we'd have had Eddie Nketiah available to us. And potentially another reason why I'm really kind of keen for us to have 3 striking options for next season, because stuff like this, it could happen, especially with Champions League to come as well. The rest of the team picks itself. Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Vieira, Ødegaard, Saka, Trossard, and Martinelli is the team. Did someone jump in? I feel like I talked over someone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I just said about Balogun, have 3 striking options coming in possibly next season. That could be another little option for us in the Champions League. He's doing fantastic.
Definitely. Indeed. Go on.
Oh yeah, one of the things I do like about your team, and it'd be quite interesting is having Vieira with Ødegaard. Obviously, Vieira deployed on that left-hand side. He does seem to have quite a bit of chemistry, doesn't he, with Martinelli on and off the field?
Well, they love each other.
It will be interesting to see that. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and I'd love to see that play out positively.
Yeah, there was Arteta was asked the question, I think, after the game against Everton. I think it was that asked the question, and it was when will we see Martinelli and Vieira play? And before he'd even finished the question, he just said, "You will see them play together." So it's in the plans. It's something that Arteta wants to do, and I think they do have a really good relationship on and off the field, as you say, Aaron. So yeah, it's certainly something I'm looking forward. That's the clearest Peroni I've ever seen, by the way, Alex.
Oh, yeah. It's a Heineken glass. You're not
is it Heineken? I've got that wrong.
Not going to get in trouble for that, are you?
0% on that one.
No deals.
No, don't worry about that, mate. Don't worry about that at all. Other beer glasses are available if you like. Lovely stuff. Let's jump into the chat box and see what predictions people have come up with. I did see that people were throwing some in earlier. We've also got Black Gemini in the chat says every team is bullied by us. They'll need their dark arts. I know Arteta will set them up. 4-0, clean sheet and goals. I mean, there's something that we haven't really talked about, I suppose, in getting goals is the fact that we are closing the gap a bit in terms of that goal difference. I think the gap's 6 now. I think we've got 33 to 39, I think. Yeah, so there is also the opportunity with that 4-0 win we had against Everton. If Newcastle can hold them, or even better, get a win, and suddenly you get a big result, all of a sudden you're getting numbers that are very close to one another. So a big win is needed. Alex, are you going for a big win, scoreline and scorers?
I think we will win 3-1. I
can sense, how can I give Bournemouth as much credit as possible?
Well, yeah, it might be. No, I think it will be 3-1. I think Saka will score, and I think Emil Smith-Rowe will score, and I think Erdegaard will score again. And for Bournemouth, give Dom Solanke a goal.
I thought you might say that.
Yeah.
Oh, how glorious. The celebration if Smith-Rowe got on the score sheet. Now, if he comes off the bench or starts or whatever, probably off the bench more likely, but it would be brilliant to see that.
I was almost off my feet when he had that little chance, him and Vieira in session.
I was gutted.
I thought it was
gutted.
Same.
Yeah, he just couldn't get out his feet, could he?
No.
Yeah, gutting. Aaron, scoreline and scorers, fella.
Yeah, I've gone for 4-0. I've gone for 2 for Martinelli. I've gone 1 for Trossard, and obviously I've gone for a 35-yard screamer from Ben White. So
obviously, yeah. It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
I'm with you, Tom. I'm with you.
Absolutely. We are going to set up a campaign. The only protest at the Emirates Stadium this season is to get Ben White a screamer from 30 yards to get him shooting.
I'll be there.
Absolutely. Semi says 3-0 Saka hat-trick just because he's him, which is fair enough. Nav says 7-0. Wow. Nate says 4-1. Afsar says 2-1. Jason's predicting a 4-1 comfortable win. David says 4-0. Greg also says 4-0. USA Gooner says 5-0 for the boys with 3 from Saka. And Dan, we went 4, we went 5, so Dan's gone for 6-0. Walk in the park, he says, with Saka and Martinelli hat-trick. Sorry, Alex. Cross Tag says 5-0 Martinelli, Saka, Trossard, and with a brace, and Zinchenko with a goal as well at home. That would be his first home goal in the Premier League, of course. His only goal in the Premier League is away at Aston Villa, as we all well know from earlier this season. By the way, after that game, I remember, you might remember me saying it on the channel, but I said that one of the biggest curiosities I have is to see Zinchenko score and to see what he's like when he celebrates, because he goes bloody mental when anyone else scores. So I was curious, and I'm not going to lie, I felt shortchanged by his celebration, because it was very much more like, come on, lads, get back, because it was the equaliser rather than one that put us into the lead. So if he does score, I want to see him go mad. I actually asked him after the game in the mix zone, after the Villa game, and he kind of just turned around and said, yeah, I'm not really happy with my performance. Like, he didn't even give me anything about how happy he was to score. So if he does get a goal,
that's what you like about it, isn't it?
It's good.
He's very similar to Ramsdale. You see how annoyed he gets if we ever even come close to conceding, because at the end when he made that double save, which by the way was outrageous. But that he was so angry. You can tell in his face. He's just like, if he concedes, and obviously you've seen on. I'm assuming most people will have watched the documentary. How annoyed he got when he conceded that one goal.
Yeah,
it's what you want though. And
who was that against? Slamming his towel down. I'm trying to remember the goal. Was it Brentford? When we considered right at the end. Do you remember that? I think it was Norgard scored right at the end of the game. And we went 2-0 up in the second half, and then Norgard scored right at the end. It might have been that game, because obviously we conceded late, so it makes sense. But yeah. Amira says 4-0 Eddie Trossard. Kivior with a header. That's an interesting prediction now. He might not get on the field again. Marcus says 3-1. Dave says, I'm nervous, so I'm going for a 2-1 win. Steel Panther... What? Steelers... I don't even know how that would split up. Steeler, Panther, Pens.
Panthers. American football teams, isn't it?
Right. I'm guessing it was that. I was just trying to work out where the break in the words was. But, yes, Steelers Panther Pens is going for 3-1 to the Gunners. Keysby Knights going for a 7-3. Afshin's going for a 3-0. I mean, the 7-3 is kind of crazy. I didn't give that the credit it deserved. Harvey says 4-1. And scrolling down a little bit more, Sharma says 3-0 as well with Stephen to get 2-1. Wayne says it was Aston Villa at home when Jacob Ramsey scored. That's some good memory, Wayne. Fair play to you, mate. That's much better than us. Anyway, that brings us to an end of today's show. Little bit to note, and I will talk about this in more detail in tomorrow morning's morning show, but some breaking news as we were live. Moises Caicedo has signed a brand new contract at Brighton, which is very interesting indeed. How funny that is. I remember a lot of Arsenal supporters pointing out Mark Cucurella being sent to basically sit out the rest of the window, and then he moved to Chelsea. And a lot of people reference that to say, look, it doesn't matter if they send him, he'll still move on. Well, let's not be as naive, maybe, because these things change in football very quickly. And that whole saga has got Brighton, not only Caicedo committed for the long-term future, but, they've kept a really key player into the end of the season as well. And Arsenal are going to have to look elsewhere in the summer, but we kind of knew that was going to happen anyway with Declan Rice and the sounds of things.
It'll cost 140 million now.
Yes, he will. Yes, double the price. And some fans would still pay that kind of madly, but there you go. Alex, thank you for your time, Matt. As always, thank you for the political gymnastics of tiptoeing around your employer. I really appreciate you still coming on, giving your views, mate. I love that Aaron really tested you as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I couldn't.
No, it's all part of the fun. I doubt any players from my neck of the academy will be up there, so it's not so bad, but you never know. Maybe I'll be in trouble tomorrow morning. So
it's gonna go in
P45 incoming.
Oh dear, we saw you on that show last night.
Yeah, I'll have to do a quick U-turn. 3-1 Bournemouth. 3-1 Bournemouth.
That's what I thought you meant. Yeah.
Indeed. So when I was about to say, tell people where they can find you, other than in the dungeons at Bournemouth, where else can they find you?
Well, always on the Discord server. Honestly, encourage anyone to join. It's a really I want to say relaxed. It's a more relaxed place than the rest of social media. But there's loads of different channels. Don't just talk about football. So it's always encouraged for new people to join. We've got a lot of members now. Actually, I was just looking at it the other day, comparing it to when I joined about a year and a bit ago. It's really grown a lot. So always encouraging new people.
I'm trying to check. It used to come up on the right-hand side. There it is. We've got now 335 members in that Discord server. It is a growing community. I remember when it was like 20.
Yeah, I remember when it was less than 100, not quite 20. I don't think I've been there for that long, but I've been there a while. But
until people started joining. Lovely stuff. Let's go to Aaron. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the plunge to jump on the show, mate. Brilliant debut, and you smashed it. Tell people they can find you.
Yeah, just in the Discord server, and I'll sort of touch on what Alex said as well. I encourage anyone to, if they're sitting on the fence, join up. It's a fantastic Discord server. I've only been there for a month myself, and I'm already enjoying it so much already. So yeah, just encourage us to join up.
As Dan said, checks in the post. Lovely stuff. The boys are well trained. I know how to advertise that Discord server. But no, in all seriousness, both Alex and Aaron, in a growing fashion, only been there a month, and Alex has been there, I think, for over a year now in the Discord. Yeah. It's a crazy and welcoming community. I mean, as soon as someone joins, people are like waving and saying hello almost immediately. So get involved. If you'd like to join up as a member, the link is in the description. Some people say they have issues trying to join up because iOS and iPhone doesn't really work. My recommendation is to use your laptops. That's usually the way that it's the best way to access the membership scheme. So do try it, work it that way. And hopefully I'll see some of our North American members in Chicago, or as I like to call it, Aaron Ramsdale in the summer, or in April, not even the summer, certainly not the summer for Chicago. It's going to be very, very chilly and windy indeed. But I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody that's tuned into today's show. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. as always, ahead of of the trip up to the Emirates. And we look forward to hopefully Arsenal delivering another battering, sorry, Alex, to their opponents tomorrow. We'll see you again very soon. Have a fantastic evening and enjoy your Friday. And as always, up the Arsenal.